السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد
وآل الطيبين الطاهرين، لا سيما بقية الله الأرضين، أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم صل على فاطمة وأبيها وبعدها وبنيها عدد ما أحاط به علمك. I am grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for having this blessing of meeting you, my dear brothers and sisters, in this center, Babulilm. And what adds to my joy is that I am accompanied with some of our Shia and Catholic and one Protestant friend that have been in South Africa for the 11th round of Catholic Shia dialogue. The first round was in 2003, so this is now the 11th round. So we are towards the end of our program. We are going to have a public event tomorrow, inshallah, in the seminary, and then everyone goes back to their home. So with our friends, we are here to be present among you in your commemoration of the demise anniversary of Lady Fatima Zahra Salamun alayha.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
When we had our first round of Catholic Shia dialogue in 2003, we had a monk from South Africa that was doing his PhD on Lady Fatima and Lady Maryam Pizai. And that's Father Clovis. So in 2003, he was doing his PhD on Lady Fatima and Lady Maryam. And we kept in touch, and then he published a book on Lady Fatima, Lady Zainab, and he's mashallah very well known to our community worldwide. I was thinking of what would be the most relevant and the most needed topic that I can talk about. And something that I believe would make the heart of Lady Fatima Salamullah alayha happy if we manage to welcome and embrace and implement. So after thinking about different topics, I thought, let me talk about social Wilayah, about the unity that must exist among people who love God, who love His messengers, who love His scriptures. Whenever I have an opportunity to talk only once, I try to talk about this topic. Sometimes I have talked only in the car with people that I am not going to see them, so in the car I talk about this. Sometimes I had only one program we dedicated to this. And interestingly, this idea for the first time came to my mind when I was asked to give talk to Babulilm in East Africa. So in Tanzania, the very first time this idea came together in my mind was there. And because it was something new, I remember that I had a expectation that either they very much like it or they very much dislike it. There is nothing in between because of something new. Alhamdulillah, when I presented, everyone loved it. And one of the brothers in the night said, inshallah, you will see the result after 10 years. And then I shared with many people in different countries, in different formats. I discussed it with many scholars in home. Everyone says, yes, this is right. We didn't think about this in this way, but it's right. What should we do? That's the most difficult question. But first let us see the idea, and then inshallah we have to work to implement it, even if it is step by step. I call this social wilayah or collective wilayah because in Islam, and I think it's the same for other Abrahamic traditions, faith is not just a relation that one individual has with God. Yes, your relation with God as a person is very important, and you are fully responsible for your actions, for your beliefs. But you cannot avoid others in your relation with God. You cannot say, I only want to focus on God. I want to dedicate myself to God. I don't bother about people. It doesn't work. Actually, the greatest part of our relation with God is through our interactions with people. We should not make the same mistake of Satan. Satan wanted to just focus on God and said, okay, I only worship you. Don't ask me for anything else. Don't, na'uzubillah, distract me from worshiping you by asking to prostrate before others. Even in some narration says that he said to God, please exempt me from this, and I am going to worship you in a way that no one has ever worshipped you. And God said, do you want to worship me in the way that you prefer? This is a big test. Many times, we prefer that we do something that we enjoy more than doing something that would be pleasing more to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
MashaAllah.
So maybe, for example, someone is in need of help. Someone wants to get married, someone, I don't know, is ill. But I want to, for example, travel for ziyarah. And I think this is better. It's a, lack of tawfiq. If I don't go to ziyarah and I help someone who wants to get married that doesn't have any means.
MashaAllah.
So we unfortunately tell God or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala how we want to serve Him. And most of the time it's much easier if we put people aside and just focus on Him, because to please Allah is very easy. But if you want to please your family members and friends and neighbors and colleagues and strangers for the sake of God is very difficult. Pleasing God by doing your wajibat, avoiding haram is not that difficult. But pleasing God by making sure that in all the roles that you have, you act as a servant of God and you bring light to people, you bring hope to people, you show love to people. This is not easy. Therefore, you see, the reward which is promised for actions which are social is much more than the actions which are personal. You all know what Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam said in his final will. He said, Allah, Allah fi salahi dhati baynakum. Remember Allah in reconciliation among yourselves. I heard from the Prophet that if you reconcile between two people, is better than 1 year of fasting and prayer. If it is Amma, means 1 year. It can be also all prayers and fasting. So you spend few hours and reconcile between a husband and wife, or between two brothers who don't speak to each other, two members of community. It takes us few hours, but it's better than 1 year of prayer and fasting. It does not replace prayer and fasting, of course. You have to pray and fast. But what makes Allah more happy with you is this one. And God forbid, if someone divides people, if someone causes division in families or community, it's much worse than not praying and fasting. Because if you don't pray and fast, you are harming yourself. Yes, to some extent it affects others, but if you cause division, it's not comparable to failing performing your personal wajibat. Anything which is social, anything which is interpersonal is highly regarded in Islam. You cannot compare it to the personal issues. So, our understanding of our relation with God has to be comprehensive, has to be inclusive of everyone. What I want to talk is about the concept of Wilayah. Something that we pray tonight that Lady Fatima Salamullah alayha would help us to achieve and to maintain and to grow, inshallah. If you want help for being a member of the community of the faithful who have Wilayah, who is better than Lady Fatima to intercede? So, we are in the right time and right place to appeal to Our Lady to help us understand this core concept of Wilayah and then inshallah implement it. I was thinking how we can define Wilayah. I don't think we find any single word to define Wilayah. So I use three concepts that together explain Wilayah. So Wilayah is a concept that needs three pillars. One is ma'rifah. Wilayah cannot happen without ma'rifah, without acquaintance. You cannot have Wilayah of some people without knowing them personally. Wilayah is a very intimate relation. And any intimate relation, first of all, needs ma'rifah, acquaintance. And ma'rifah is not just knowledge. Ma'rifah is a special type of knowledge. Maybe you have knowledge of, for example, a country through books, through movies, but you have never been there. You have never lived there. This is not called ma'rifah. But when you go there, you live there, you meet people, you breathe there, you eat there, then you develop ma'rifah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
Wilayah needs ma'rifah. Ma'rifah of all different parties and all different elements. Ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot have ma'rifah of Ahlul Bayt properly without having ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the head of the camp.
MashaAllah.
This is why we ask Allah, Allahumma arrifni nafsak. We ask Allah for His ma'rifah. One of the very first things in Hawza we learn in the very first line of the book Jam'atul Muqaddam, Abbalul ilm ma'rifatul jabbar. The very first thing to learn is knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
وآخر العلم تفويض الأمر إليه. The last thing to learn is that you have to submit and delegate all your affairs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
MashaAllah.
So, a believer in Wilayah needs to be spending time and efforts for acquiring proper ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This needs plan, this needs organization, this needs systematic study. You cannot know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just randomly. Random information is very good for the people who have already a system in their mind. So if I have an organized mind and I come across scattered information, I know how to connect and how to put them in the system. But if you don't have that system of understanding, that systematic understanding of your faith, then random information is not very helpful and sometimes can even be confusing. There are two ways to make people unable to function. One is to deny them information, one is to give them too much information. So therefore I always say to people, please try to allocate some time to have systematic understanding, education about your faith, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never underestimate aqa'id. Don't say, Alhamdulillah, we are all, for example, Shia, we are all Muslims. We don't need, to study aqa'id. No. Everyone up to the last day must either be learning something new about aqa'id or at least reviewing and trying to go deeper. Ma'rifah of Allah, ma'rifah of the prophets and messengers, ma'rifah of our prophet, ma'rifah of imams. And in particular, ma'rifah of imam of our time. Ma'rifah of all imams are important and needed, but ma'rifah of imam of our time is the only ma'rifah that saves us from jahiliyyah.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
So if I know all imams, but I don't know imam zamani, imam of this time, and I die of ignorance, jahiliyyah. Because faith is a dynamic reality. You cannot be satisfied with being up to last minute on the track. You have to make sure that this moment also you are on the right track. And this is only through connection to the Imam of our time. But knowing Imam of our time doesn't mean just to know his biography. This is something which was available for hundreds of years. If someone says, I have studied books of Sheikh Saduq or I don't know Sheikh Mufid about Imam al-Zaman, this is not enough for ma'rifah of Imam al-Zaman. Knowing Imam of your time means knowing your time and knowing the challenges of your Imam in this time, and who are friends of Imam in this time, who are enemies of Imam this time, and what are the expectations of Imam from you this time.
Beautiful.
If I know who is my Imam, but I don't know what is concerning Imam this time, what's the benefit? So we have to always think, my belief in Imam Mahdi, what difference is bringing to my life? If it doesn't bring any difference to my life and I'm just making some du'as, this means that I am not benefiting from his guidance. This means I am like someone who lived 100 years ago, 200 years ago. We should be at such a level of ma'rifah of Imam that without hearing him, we understand what he wants from us. If people in the time of previous Imams sometimes didn't obey Imam, for example, in the time of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam was telling them something and they were not doing it. true Shia of this time, without listening to Imam, do what Imam wants.
MashaAllah.
And not only they do what the Imam wants, they precede each other to doing what Imam wants. Al-Mumtathilin al-Awamir means they implement his commands. But As-Sabiqina ila iradatih means they proceed to implement his will, which is not yet spoken. If I know my father or mother very well, I don't need to be told that, bring me a cup of water. I know that at this time, for example, he wants to have his medicine, he needs water. Or he's coughing, he wants water. Without him or her telling me anything, I know that I have to bring water for him. Do we need to be told by Imam Mahdi what we should do now? Or we should have such understanding that we know what Imam wants from us now? If we have such understanding, then Imam Baqir says, you are the best of people of all times. Imam said to Abu Khalid al-Kabuli, those who are waiting for the 12th Imam and believe in his Imam, these are أفضل أهل كل زمان. They are better than the Shia of the time of Imam Ali or Imam Hassan or other Imams, generally speaking. Individuals can be sometimes better than others, but generally speaking, if you have a generation in the time of Ghaibah that are actively, wisely waiting for Imam Mahdi and believe in his Imamah, they are better than any group in any time. Why? Because Allah has given them so much of understanding that for them Ghaibah and Mushahada are the same. لأن الله تعالى آتاهم من العقول والأفهام والمعرفة ما صارت به الغيبة عندهم بمنزلة المشاهدة. If I am a good student and my teacher in the classroom or my teacher went out, I do the same job. If I'm a bad student, when the teacher goes out, we start making noise and fighting. But a good student does exactly what he knows the teacher expects. Doesn't make difference, teacher is inside. Or for example, if parents have to go somewhere and leave children at home, good children behave in the way that neighbors don't understand that parents are not there. Bad children bring police and everyone, involve everyone. So we are supposed to have such understanding and such commitment that for us, whether we hear Imam or we don't hear Imam, doesn't make any difference. Because we know the mindset, we know the attitude of our Imam. For example, do we have any doubt that Imam Mahdi wants us to be united? Does he need to tell you every day that, oh my Shia, you have to be united? No. We are 100% sure, we can swear by God that Imam Mahdi says one of your main priorities is to be united. Okay, work for it. Don't let anything divide you. So, we don't wait for Imam Mahdi to come and tell us what we should do. We wait for Imam Mahdi to come and say that now that you have been doing your things properly, you have organized yourself, let's now offer this to the whole world. We shouldn't wait for Imam Mahdi to come and solve our community problems. He would not come to fix our community problems or family problems or personal problems. This is what we have to do. And when we manage to solve our problems and we show our maturity, our wisdom, our commitment, our dedication, then we can say to Imam, now we are at your service to offer this to all humanity. Therefore, I believe it's impossible for Imam Mahdi to come unless we have achieved unity in our community and we have achieved justice and fairness in our own community and in our relation with others. It's impossible that people who do zulm to each other be helping Imam who wants to establish universal justice. It's impossible. How can people who are, themselves suffering from, germs and, microbes and illness say that, we want to fight against pandemic? First you have to cure yourself. So, one aspect of Wilayah, I don't have time, I try to be very brief, is ma'rifah, what in this sense? Ma'rifah of Allah, ma'rifah of faith, ma'rifah of Imam of our time, challenges of time, people who believe in Imam in this time, people who are opponents, everything you have to know. Another element of Wilayah is ta'ah, is obedience. Wilayah without obedience doesn't work. Wilayah without order, without organization. Wilayah is not a chaotic relation that everyone does whatever they want. Sometimes, unfortunately, we see in our community that people deal with community affairs as their personal affairs. They start a center, for example, run programs, invite lecturers, they do programs as if it's their own business. Community is not our personal business. We are only servants and we have to do as our masters want us to do things. So obedience is very important, discipline is very important to know to whom you have to answer. Who is between you and Imam in the line of commands? What is the role of Al-Maradi? What is the role of leaders, the local leaders? We have to know. Some people say, I answer to God, I answer to Imam. This is not enough. If in an army, a soldier says, I only answer to the head of army, it doesn't work. You have to know who is in the line of command. Obedience is very important. And obedience, unfortunately, sometimes in the camp of battle is much more. Because in the camp of battle also we have Wilayah. Wilayah of Taghut. And sometimes they are very disciplined, very organized.
Yeah, mashallah.
But there is a third thing that is the big difference between the two. Both camps have ma'rifah of their leadership, of their members, of their aims, of their challenges. Both camps have obedience. Even sometimes in the camp of battle, obedience is more. But in the camp of haqq, there is love. There is mahabbah. In the camp of battle, there is obedience, there is discipline, but no love. تحسبهم جميعا وقلوبهم شتى. You think they are very united, but their hearts are divided and scattered. In the camp of haqq, in the camp of God and prophets and messengers and saints, what leads to obedience is love, not fear of punishment. Sometimes you are waiting for a very dear guest to come to your home. You start cleaning home, you start buying things, preparing things, leave. Because this is a dear guest. Sometimes someone is coming and you don't want. And you just pray that this person's coming is cancelled or is made short. The way you prepare yourself, the way you do things is totally different. Maybe, for example, you just clean one room. Maybe you hide things in cupboard. Just say, let this person come and go. But if someone is here, even you clean outside. You try to change things so that that person feels very much at home. So, Wilayah should lead to ta'ah. And Wilayah does this through ma'rifah and mahabbah. When you know Imam, it's impossible not to love him. And when you love him, Imam, it's impossible to disobey him. You say, oh Imam, please ask me to do something for you. This is another level. It's not like a soldier, says, my commander has said something, I have to do it. Otherwise, I will be punished. No. You beg an Imam to allocate some task to you. If Imam comes to your city and says, take me please from this place to that place, how you feel happy? You feel very happy, you feel honored. Why Imam gave me this task? It must be prayer of my parents or something has happened that Imam has given me this task. So whenever you have chance to do something for community, receive it with love and do it with love and be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because this is the way to serve Imam, to serve community. So, ma'rifah, mahabba and ta'ah. These three things make wilayah. So, if you want to grow your wilayah, you need to invest on increasing your ma'rifah, on purifying your acts, and do everything with love. Not love only for Allah or Ahlul Bayt. Love also for people for the sake of Allah and Ahlul Bayt.
MashaAllah.
This is the main challenge. Loving Imam Hussein is not difficult. Loving Lady Fatima, Lady Maryam, Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, Moses is not difficult. Whoever has little basic information loves them. The challenge is to love for their sake our own fellow brothers and sisters. This is the challenge. In Ziyarat Ashura, we say to Imam Hussein alayhi salam, Inni silmun liman salamakum. I don't say Inni silmun lakum. Silmun lakum is easy. I am at peace with you. It's easy. I am at peace with whoever is at peace with you.
MashaAllah.
And this is very difficult. Maybe in I don't know, a community of 200 people, 300 people, even 2-3 people cannot say this. That in my life, I never had any issue with someone who loved you. I was at peace. Just because this person loved you, I was at peace with him. Yes, maybe we had misunderstanding, maybe sometimes he was not good to me, but it didn't matter. Because he loved you, that was enough for him. إِنِّي سِلْمٌ لَمَنْ صَلَّى. And this is repeated. And then the second time, after سِلْمٌ لَمَنْ صَلَّى لَكُمْ وَحَرْبٌ لَمَنْ حَرَّى لَكُمْ وَبَلِيٌّ لَمَنْ وَالَى. Whoever has your wilayah, I am his wali. I am not only your wali, I am wali of your awliya. The relation of wilayah is between all mu'mineen, horizontally and vertically. Al-mu'minun wal-mu'minat ba'duhum awliya'u ba'd. So you are my wali, I am your wali. It's not just Imam is our wali, Lady Fatima is our wali. No, we are all wali for each other. So how my love for Lady Fatima is going to be assessed? How my love for Imam Hussein is going to be judged? By seeing how I love my fellow brothers and sisters. Sometimes people say we go for ziyarah, how can we feel Imam loves us, for example? I said, look at your heart, how much you love the people who are there. I don't say love, how much you love Imam. I say, how much you love people who are there.
MashaAllah,
If I
MashaAllah.
go to the shrine and say, I wish these people were not here, shrine was empty and I enjoyed my time with Imam. This is childish. I wish there were so many people there that I could not even get into the shrine.
Beautiful.
I wish everyone enjoys his ziyarah and I just serve them. Sometimes I say people, imagine if Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that I want to visit your community. At this time, this day, I will come to your place for 2 hours. Or Imam Mahdi says, no, I will come for 2 hours. What would we do? If he says to you, some people say, I keep it secret. I don't say to anyone. Yeah, it will be just me and Rasulullah or Imam Mahdi. 2 hours I will be with them, ask every question, anything. Some people say, no, I inform also my family members, my close friends. Some people say, no, I inform members of our masjid. I don't inform members of other centers. Yeah? So depending on how large is their heart, they try to widen the circle, but they make sure that they're always the first. So they make sure that they are sitting next to Rasulullah, then maybe they let other people to join. But a true lover of Rasulullah would not do this. A true lover of Rasulullah says, let me see who needs to meet Rasulullah more. Let me invite people who don't know him to see him and benefit from his light. And we just sit outside, stand outside to help people go inside. So, if love does not originate from ma'rifah, becomes just emotion and becomes a trouble.
That's right.
You want to own, you want to have monopoly. But if love originates from ma'rifah, then you just want to serve. Your concern is your beloved, not yourself. Sometimes you have to sacrifice even your love for the sake of beloved. This is every love. So, the challenge is how much we are happy to love each other for the sake of Allah, for the sake of Imams. I just mentioned few sentences from Dua Nutbah and finish. Unfortunately, time is limited. I don't want also to make our Christian brothers and sisters too tired. They have already had a very long day. So I just mentioned few lines from Dua Nutbah and I hope they forgive me because I don't know when and whether I get a chance to meet you again. So, in Dua Nutbah, when you reflect, you see that the mentality is mentality of we, not me. Like many other du'as. In Dua Iftitah, Dua Ahd, I don't have time. It's all, even if sometimes we use singular, verbs, but most of the time is plural. For example, Dua Iftitah, Allahumma inna narghabu ilayk. Not inni arghabu ilayk. Allahumma inna nashku ilayk. In Dua, for example, Ahd, in Ziyarat Aminullah, all of them. I have discussed this in lectures on social Wilayah. But I just focus on Dua Nutbah. When we say to Imam Mahdi that when is the time that meeting you and visiting you is possible, we say, Mata tarana wa narak. Not Mata tarani wa arak. Atarana nahuffu bik, not ahuffu bik. So you should develop from childhood in your children and students this way of thinking. Not think about me, think about we. We are only in good condition if all of us are in good condition. This mentality is part of what we need for coming of Imam Mahdi. Otherwise, if we think in an individualistic way, it's not possible. So, in Dua we say to Imam Mahdi at the peak, when we reach the point that we start talking to Imam himself. هل من معين فأطيل معه العبيد والبقاء. Is there any helper with whom I can prolong my cry? What does it mean? It means that even crying is something to be done together. And when you cry together, you can cry longer. If I do something, after some time I become tired. But when we do it together, we can serve longer. We get barakah, blessing from working together. Yadullah ma'al jama'ah. In the night of Qadr, if you want to sit at home and do ihya, many times you fall asleep. When you are in the community, you inspire each other, you give energy to each other, and Allah's hand is above you. So here we are learning that don't think anything is personal. Everything is collective.
Everything is collective.
Everything is community based. What you do at home with your wife and children affects the community. And whatever you do in community affects your home. Then we say, هل من جزوع فأصاعد جزعه إذا خلى. Is there anyone lamenting for you that I help him when he is alone, when he is in private? Khala, in khalwa. Meaning that we cry together in community, but also we visit each other in our homes and help each other also in home. You cannot say to your father or uncle, I see you in the mosque, it's enough. Mu'mineen make sure that they visit each other in the community center, but also they have family visitations and they spend time together.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
None of them replaces the other, they supplement each other. And then, هل قضيت عين فساعدتها عيني على القضاء. Is any eye bruised because of crying for you, that my eye can take part of the pain of that eye? Your eye is very sensitive. You even sacrifice your right hand to protect your eye. But when it comes to love that you have for each other, you offer your eye so that the pain of another person is reduced. It's the power of love. Like when your child is ill and has fever, etc. There is no treatment. You say, oh Allah, please send this pain to me. I don't want my child to suffer. If we see someone in communities in pain, we shouldn't just watch. We shouldn't just say, we pray for you. We should see how we can take part of the pain and reduce the pain of that person. Especially if this pain is something which is coming for the community. Maybe there are people who don't say anything, they do all the hard work. We shouldn't just watch. We say, what can I do? How can I contribute? You see, in the first sentence we say, is there any helper? هل من معين? In the second and third we say, how can I help? أساعد ساعدتها عيني. So, mu'min asks for help once, but offers help twice. If in community we have this quality, we are hesitant to ask for help, but we are ready and quick in offering help. All problems will be solved. Okay, I stop here. Much to say, but I rely on your great understanding, and inshallah you follow this discussion. I hope I just managed to create this interest in you to think about this and implement. May Allah inshallah make this community from every aspect inshallah united, locally, nationally, internationally. And that is the best thing you can offer to Imam of our time. The best thing to offer to Imam of our time is not money or buildings. The best thing to offer united people. If you can offer even 40, 50 people who are united in their hearts and say, oh Imam, these are the people that are united, that's making Imam very happy. But if you say, I offer you hundreds of buildings with people whose hearts are divided, what's the benefit? He says, just a headache. Additional headache in how to deal with this. So, make sure that you start this from yourself. Don't wait for invitation to come, say, we are united, are you happy to join us? No, you have to start with few people. Then inshallah this will inspire others. Inshallah this group, that group, all then get connected locally, nationally, internationally. And when we have a sizable community who are united, then we can have hope that Imam inshallah will come. And this is why after these 3 sentences in Dua al-Nutbah, just after these 3, we say, Hal ilayka yabna Ahmad sabilun fatubqa. Before this, it's not possible to ask him, how can we meet you? But when we have this unity, then we can say, oh Imam, when we can meet you. May inshallah the heart of Imam of our time be happy with you. May you be a source of comfort and joy and pride for Imam of our time. And may we never be a source of embarrassment for our Imam. Ameen ya Rabbal